Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn with Rishi. Today, I'm tackling the Intermediate Mathematical Challenge, organised by the United Kingdom Mathematics Trust, or as you may have heard, the UKMT, from February 2022. With the exam date just around the corner, on 29th of January 2025, this is the perfect opportunity to share my thought process and approach to these exciting and often tricky questions. So grab a pen and paper and let's dive into some problem-solving fun. Question number 1. How many hours is 6 minutes? Well, the first thing we need to acknowledge is that we have 60 minutes in 1 hour. So if we have 60 minutes in 1 hour, and we need to work out the number of hours in minutes, we therefore know that 6 minutes as a fraction is going to be 6 over 60, or should we say 1 over 10, which is equivalent to 0.1, and there we are. Question 2. My recipe for apple crumble uses 100 grams of flour, 50 grams of butter, and 50 grams of sugar to make the crumble topping. When my family come for a meal, I have to use 2.5 times, so that's about 2.5 times each amount to provide enough crumble. In total, how much crumble topping do I then make? Well, the first thing is that you've seen me highlight all the important information here, so make sure to do that. And secondly, if we add up the total amount of toppings, that's 200 grams. Now, when I multiply these amounts by 2.5, or should we say 2.5, the amount of toppings that I make, it would then be 0.5 kg. And that's 200 multiplied by 2.5. Question 3. In the Caribbean, loggerhead turtles lay 3 million eggs in 20,000 nests. On average, how many eggs are in each nest? So essentially, we are dividing our 3 million by 20,000. Again, if we eliminate the zeros here, we're left with 300. 300 divided by 2 is 150, so B is our answer. So remember, when they're looking for the average, that is division. I hope you're keeping up here. Let's go for question 4. Workers digging a tunnel for an underground railway complete 5 meters of tunnel on a typical day. Working every day, how long will it take them to dig a tunnel of length 2 kilometers? Now, since 2 kilometers is seen as 2,000 meters and 5 meters of the tunnel is dig up on a typical day, we'd have to do 2,000 divided by 5, which will give us 400 days. Now, there's 365 days in a year, or 366 in a leap year. So 400 is clearly more than 1 year. Therefore, our answer would be D, which is just over a year. I hope you can see how I'm tackling each question, honing down on the most important information, highlighting those, and then calculating this in a step-by-step approach. Okay, let's go to question 5. Which of the following has the same value as 10,006 minus 8,008? Now, the basic method would be to do arithmetic in this case. So you simply calculate the value of it, and then the values of the options can then be eliminated based on which one has the same value. However, it's sensible to look for something better. And you might notice that 10,000 is 6 less. So again, we're using rounding here. And also, 8,002 is 6 less than 8,008. So what can we do here? Well, we can simply go ahead and write this out as 10,000 plus 6 minus 8,002 plus 6. So instantly, if we go ahead and calculate this out, we have a plus 6 and a minus 6, because a minus and a plus gives you a minus, so that's eradicated. So we have 10,000, take away 8,002, and that's your correct answer. And C it is. Okay, question 6. What is 20,000 of 3 3/4? Well, let's break this up. So we're looking for 20% here, and we know 20% is seen as 1/5. And if we have 3 3/4, if we put this in an improper fraction, we simply do 3 times 4, which is 12, plus the 3, that's 15/4. Therefore, if we now need to get 20% of this, remember of means multiplication. So instantly we need to have 1/5 multiplied by 15/4, which will be seen as 15/20. If we zoom out here, we don't have 15/20. But if we simplify this, it's the same as a quarter. Another better way to do this is simply simplifying the 5 and the 15. So we get 1/1 times 3/4, which gives us 3/4. And that's because 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 5 is 15. I hope that makes sense. Fantastic. Let's go for question 7. A function machine does the 4 operations shown in order. So it divides by 3, minus is 10, divides by 3, and minus is 10. Now Iris inputs a positive integer and the output is also a positive integer. So what is the smallest possible number which Iris could have input? Well, we can give 3 methods for answering this question. The first is very simple. Try each of the options in turn. But that will require a lot of time and work. Also, of course, it relies on the assumption that one of the options is correct. Now, the second method involves working backwards, so your inverse method. And then you could eliminate which one the answer is not, and fortunately guess for the correct one. But the third method uses algebra. So no matter what we choose here and which approach, just make sure to document your steps. So if we take the second approach, and that's working backwards from a guess as to what the answer might be, because they're looking for the smallest possible integer, let's start with the largest, which is e, 129. So again, we could have 129 as our end. If we divide that by 3, we get 43. If we add 10, if we subtract 10, we get 33. If we divide by 3, we get 11. And if we minus 10, we get 1. So we see from this that the input, being 129, gives us an output of 1. So we can deduce that 129 is the smallest integer that she could have input, as we have now got 1. And this assumes that if we input a number that is smaller than 129, the output will be smaller than 1. Amazing. Let's go for question 8. What is the difference between 40% of 50% of 60 and 50% of 60% of 70? Well, this is very interesting. Well, if we calculate 40% of 50% of 60, that essentially means 50% of 60, which is 30, and 40% of 30, which is 12. And now again, if we get 60% of 70, which is 42, and 50% of that, that is 21. So with that being said, the difference is 21 take away 12, which is 9, and A is our answer. Okay, let's go for question 9. And please remember here, I know there's a lot of questions, so I'm trying to work as quickly and effectively as possible. But if you are stuck on any question, please don't forget to comment below and I can answer them right away. I can send a more in-depth explanation. And also don't forget to like and share these videos. We know how much you love mathematics, so let's share it with the world. Okay, question 9. A number x is greater than 2022. Which is the smallest of the following? Now, because x is greater than 2022, we can almost write this out in an inequality. So therefore, because we're looking for the smallest of the following, the best way to illustrate this would be essentially to have one which is less than x over 2022, which is also less than x plus 1, over 2022. And therefore, if we combine this together, essentially, and cross-multiply this, we'll have 2022 over x plus 1. And with that being said, it follows that out of the given options, it is 2022 over x plus 1, which is e, being our smallest value. And remember, the question is asking for a number x that is greater than 2022. If we were to have 2022 over x, that would not be greater than 2022, it would be smaller. So please make a note of that. Moving to question 10 here. 100 rectangles are arranged edge to edge in a continuation of the pattern shown. Each rectangle measures 3 centimeters by 1 centimeter. So what is the perimeter in centimeters of the completed shape? And we have 100 of these. Now in the pattern, that means if there's 100 of them, there would be 50 vertical rectangles and 50 horizontal rectangles, as shown in the diagram. So 50 of these and 50 of these. Now in the diagram, the perimeter is shown by a solid line. And they do not form part of the perimeter as indicated by, let's say, any of the broken lines here. And that's essentially these sections here. They do not form part of the perimeter. So each vertical rectangle, except for the one on the end, contributes to having 2 centimeters by 1 by 1 and 2. So altogether, this will give us 6 centimeters, whilst the one on the left-hand side, again, would give us 7 centimeters. But now let's just hold fire on this. If we've got 6 centimeters to the length of the perimeter for all those except for the left-hand end, the total amount that the 50 vertical rectangles contribute to would be 50 times 6, plus the additional 1 centimeter that we would have on the left-hand side. So that would give us 301 centimeters, as we would do 50 times 6 plus 1 centimeter. Likewise, each horizontal rectangle, except for the one on the right-hand side, as you would see over here, contributes 3 plus 3 centimeters, which is 6 centimeters to the length of the perimeter, with the right-hand rectangle having the longer side, and that would be 3 centimeters, which is 1 centimeter more. So again, we would do the same thing here, which is 50 times 6 plus 1, which is 301 centimeters. So if you look at the total length of the perimeter, we'll have 301 plus 301, which is 602. So C is our answer. I hope that was clear. Let's go to our final question. Question 11. The Universal Magazine of Knowledge and Pleasure asked the following question. What number is that? Whose quarter shall be 9 more than the whole? What is the correct answer? Now, the most straightforward method here is to subtract each of the numbers given as options from 1/4 of the number, and then check the calculation yields the answer 9. Now that's our first method here, and it does involve some arithmetic and only produces the answer because one of the options is correct. Our second method, which I'm going to take, which is more efficient, that is algebra. So it says, what number is that whose quarter shall be 9 more than the whole? So we'll have a quarter. This has to be seen as a quarter of x, which is 9 more than the whole. So we're going to get the minus x here, and that equals 9. And if we put that together, we will have 3/4 x, which will be a negative, equals 9. And remember, we're letting x be the number we seek. Hence, if we have the value of x now, we take the minus 3/4 to the other side of the equation. So we would have x equals minus 4/3. As from a division, it becomes a multiplication, so it flips, multiplied by 9, which again would give us minus 12. And that's minus 4 times by 9 divided by 3, and you have minus 12. So E is our answer. And that wraps up the first 10 questions of the Intermediate Mathematical Challenge from February 2022. I hope you found this walkthrough helpful and picked up some useful tips for tackling similar problems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Learn with Rishi. It really helps support the channel and ensures you don't miss out on future content. In the next video, I'll be diving into the remaining 15 questions. So stay tuned for more problem-solving fun. Let me know in the comments if you tried these questions yourself or if there's a particular one you'd like me to revisit. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.